Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Speech, one of the #1 providers of fantasy football across the world. Get their app downloaded now via link in the description below and get your Champions League teams ready for tonight's games. Lots to speak about on today's show. Lots to go through on today's show. Ralf Rangnick, has he sold out at Manchester United? We categorically know that he wants the Manchester United job. We see that here. Fabrizio Romano on the United stand. Rangnick would love to keep his job and be Manchester United's permanent manager. He wants the job. He wants the job according to Fabrizio Romano. Is he going to sell out to get it? And when I talk of selling out, I'm speaking about playing up to the Glazers. Manchester United have one of the worst performing captains, one of the worst signings in not just our history, but Manchester United's history. In Maguire, we simply do. And Rangnick is out here standing by him. He says in the last 2 games, we had some weaker moments. But he's our captain, and I see no reason to change that. The way we are playing now is new to him. In the England team, he's used to a back 3. United is a back 4, but not on the front foot trying to defend. Maybe I'm being naive. I don't understand it. I don't understand what Ralf Rangnick is saying here. You see no reason to change it. You see no reason to drop him. It's almost like he doesn't quite understand the criticism. Maguire isn't playing poorly because of Ralph's new system. He's been playing poorly. He's been bad for days. He's been bad for a long, long time, and it's getting worse. He always wants to step up and try and challenge Van Dijk-esque. Getting worse at it. Nearly a 20% reduction in his defensive dual success rates over the course of the past few over the course of the past few years. And these stories are out there. He says that he's also a player who has to develop and get better like all the other players. Everybody's reporting on this protection. It's widespread. It's right across the board. And I'm not someone who likes to be overly pessimistic about these things. But Rangnick's out here protecting Maguire, one of the biggest issues that we've got. He's out here essentially trying to land himself the Manchester United job permanently. I'm going to say this with all due respect. I'm excited about the idea of Ralf Rangnick going upstairs. I know there are other reports that contradict this, that say he has recommended Ten Hag. But I go back to something Dean Jones said to us a little while ago on the football terrace. Ralf wants more than a consultancy role. There is no talk of a permanent role on the board. There's no talk. There's no whispers. There's no murmurs. There's no sounds of a permanent role in and around John Myrtle or Fletcher. Some more junior roles are being created, but nothing aligned or above. None. Is Ralf going to get to a position where he's going to say, well, I'm just going to do what I have to do? And we know one way, and I hope this is wrong. And sometimes when you start to get a feeling or you see something, I really hope I'm wrong here. I really hope that I'm wrong. But I've seen 2 or 3 moments from this man recently where he's protecting himself, in my opinion, over trying to make Manchester United better, as an example. And this is a worry to me. This is a worry and a concern for me as an individual. It really, really is. I find it disconcerting that he's doing this. There's a clip here that I want to play for you, and it's an important clip to play because I think it's intriguing to see what was said here.
No, obviously the size of this football club, the history of this football club. When Manchester United are struggling to beat Southampton at home, it's not what 70,000 people expect.
Yes, But we have to see and realize where we currently are and where we stand. They won 2-3 at Tottenham. They also have expected to beat them easily, and we got a point today. We desperately needed 3 points, but this is the situation we're in. That's why there was a change of managers, and that's why we are here. So if anything would have been as everybody would have expected it to be, then I wouldn't even be here.
So look, there's elements I understand. And he's right. The Ollie's era and the Glazers allowing Ollie to stay, giving him a new deal, the players they bought, the lie that Man United have built this whole new culture. That's fair to call out still. I don't necessarily have a problem with that per se. But this is still your style of play not working. You've got the quality of players out there. Half the squad aren't listening to him. Half the squad are laughing at his approach. But he's still pushing hard internally to get this job full time. And the reason that I bring all this up, let's bring this all the way back round now. So you've got to have listened now for just over 6 minutes to get to the point that I'm making. But you need the background story to get to the point. One of the reasons that Jose was moved on quickly is because he wouldn't comply with the Glazers. He wouldn't toe the party line. He went wrong. He did it wrong. He did it wrong in many people's opinions. You know, he went out of his way to be disrespectful. He went out of his way to be rude and narcissistic and cruel at times to players. But he didn't toe the party line. Ollie did. We're happy. The rebuild's here. We know what we're doing. I pick on merit. Does he? I still believe at our core, Manchester United makes decisions and buys particular individuals and operates in a way which puts money first. And I believe that Manchester United are still looking to preserve, we spent, England player, England centre-back, £80 million. We have to persevere, we have to persevere, we have to persevere. We look at the Cristiano Ronaldo signing, and I tweeted this morning, I stand by it. Ronaldo charges £1.7 million for an Insta post. He has posted 41 that include Man United merchandise or sponsors since he rejoined. That is nearly £70 million. Nearly £70 million in marketing, essentially saved by Man United. You do spend some of it. His wages cover it. For the Man United brand to be pumped onto the TLs of 400 million people. The Glazers are winning. And many of us saw this with Ollie. Some saw it early, some saw it midterm, some saw it towards the end. He toed the party line. He said what the Glazers would want him to say. Are we seeing that with Ralph? Let's blame some of the previous management and issues for where we are. Let's not pick the teams based on meritocracy. We have seen Martial and Van der Beek especially go out on loan while we've stuck with the average performers that we already have in this team. And I know people are going to say, Terry, but you're hypocrisizing yourself. You said 100% back Ralph. Part of me does. If Ralph was willing to go upstairs and be this consultant, I'm 100% behind him. If Ralph, based on what Fabrizio has said today, that Ralph wants more than anything to be the manager of Man United, I'm becoming a little bit untrusting. Will he bend the knee? Will he kiss the ring of the Glazers to get himself to where he wants to be? And that's the permanent Manchester United manager. That is not good business. As a consultant in a DOF type capacity, abso-friggin-lutely. That's where Ralf Rangnick is the Don. That's where Ralf Rangnick is LeBron James. That's where Ralf Rangnick is Michael Jackson, the Beatles, Leonardo DiCaprio, Marlon Brando. I'm naming some goats here within their respective industries. Steve Jobs at that job. As a manager, we are talking about somebody at the elite end of the spectrum who is middle of the road. Middle of the road. Middle of the road. Top bat. Now, I reject the idea that players should be allowed to discredit him, slag off what they're doing now. The reason the players shouldn't be angry right now, the reason they shouldn't be is because this is an interim period before the new permanent manager comes in. And we should be going for the best available in class. We should be putting the best directors of football in class in place. The best scouts in class in place. We should be aiming for the best individual jobs in the business to go into individual roles. Ralph ain't that when it comes to being a manager. This news from Fabrizio has triggered me. This news from Fabrizio has made me worried. Maybe the reason, if, and this is an if here, this is an if, I'm giving you a hypothesis, not a fact. If the players know that he's trying to engineer himself into the managerial role, maybe that's why they're pushing so hard to prove he's not a good enough manager. Maybe. But when I see him out there, not just defending Maguire, but continuing to pick him, it worries me. Are we looking at another yes man here? I pray to God not, because what I know of Ralph is that he doesn't tolerate nonsense. What I've read about Ralph is he won't put up with the Glazers. What I've read is that he will, every action that he undertakes will be done in a way to put Manchester United back to the peak of their powers. He won't put his own ego, his own demands first. He won't put money first. He won't take crap off the Glazers. That's what I read. That's what I was told. That's what I pray. I pray that is still the case. Pray to God that is still the case. But there are 2 or 3 things come out today that make me worry. And look, by the end of today, by tomorrow, I could be like, you know what, I've read some other stuff. I feel a little bit better now. But I hope RANGNICK is not selling out. I hope, and I pray RANGNICK doesn't become a Glazer simp, a Glazer yes man, just to land himself a dream job. And I tell you as to why. Ralph RANGNICK continuing as our manager is the road to ruin. We will never get back to the elite end of the spectrum because he isn't a good enough manager. We need him in his best position possible, and that's running the football element. But we need a better coach with better training methods, better tactics, and a better man-to-man approach in the dressing room than Ralph RANGNICK. That isn't disrespectful. For me, that is just straight facts.